Good afternoon, everyone. It's Heider. Long time no see. It's been a week or two since I last posted anything online for the Kronos. Yeah, just powering up the instrument now as we speak. Just wanted to take you back to the last video I did, where I did mention some problems with the sound. Let me just power up also the mixer, just on the safe side. Yeah, let's power this up. Yeah, good. Right, so okay. So now, if you remember when we discussed this before, also the combi when I power up, it was just all over the place, but it worked. But it's not. You hear that? It's not. It's not ideal. And that's pretty much it for that. So let's just stop this and power down the instrument for a bit. I'll explain that why. We'll power it down. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Right, so in this video, I fixed that problem. But before I start talking about the fix, I have to take you down to my laptop and explain something before this video. Otherwise, well, no, forget the otherwise. So let's go there, and I'll explain what's happening. Right. Before I take this video any further, I have to really have to talk about the licensing scheme and the GNU license for Linux. It's a very crucial part of this video. Without it, this video cannot be published. And I kept kind of beating myself up and delaying this video because I had to wait for legal advice, that sort of thing. So now I can publish this video, and hopefully this should cover it up. Now, let's keep it short. When you first buy a Korg instrument, in particular the Kronos instrument, the Kronos DVD, it ships with a Kronos DVD along with the instrument, or any other medium, but the Kronos DVD will contain the following. It will contain files and folders on the system. The one of the folders is called SRC. It stands for source, or what's known as source code. And within that thing, they include a lot of files in there. One of them in particular is called Linux 2632.11 -11.tar.bz2, which is bzip2, whatever it is. Also, they have the RTI included as well, which is, when you look at it, you think nice, blah blah blah. Now, when you unzip the file, you'll end up in a folder here. For the sake of this video, we're just going to keep on focusing on Linux. Now, inside this unzipped folder, you'll have all the source code, hopefully, and the copying. Right-click and then open with text editor. That file just says copying there, and I'll just place it here for now. And just to let you know, as a in layman's terms, when you distribute any system, any software, anything that has a Linux or Linux open source file, you must include the license at least, and you must not modify the license whatsoever, and you have to abide by that license. That's a GNU license to allow you to use their software if you have not developed this from scratch. So in layman's terms, Linus Torvalds is the person who known today as Linux. Linus is Linux, or Linux, and then this basically is the license that including in everything and every single distribution of Linux. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing for you because I haven't got enough time. But what I did, I highlighted the file with markers just to make it easy to read. The file has not been modified textually, but it's just I've added these to actually make it easier for me to read. So let's begin. To protect your rights, we need to, that's by Korg's rights as a distributor. We need to make restrictions that forbids anyone to deny you these rights or to ask you to surrender the rights. These restrictions translate to certain responsibilities for you if you distribute copies of the software or modify it. That's important to understand. For example, if you distribute copies of such programs, whether gratis or for free or for a fee, you must give the recipients all the rights that you have. You must make sure they have to receive or get the source code, and that's very important. And you must show these terms so that they know their rights. And that's a very crucial part. What that says in English is if you touch our source code and modify it or distribute this as a part of your product, you must distribute that as well. Yeah, we must share it. Yeah. So now we want its recipients to know that recipients means us people buying the system, to know that they have what they have is not the original. That if you do any modification software, so let me just read that point from beginning. Also, for each author's protection of an ours, we want to make certain that everyone understands that there is no warranty for this free software. If the software is modified, this is important, if the software is modified by anyone else and passed on, we want its recipients to know, i.e. people like us, what they have is not the original, so that any problems introduced by others will not reflect the original author's reputation. That means, as a common sense point, if you do any changes to it and you decide to send it out and someone compiles it and then find out this is not what it does or doesn't do the function it's intended to do, then you can't really hold Linux responsible for this, because this is, you have to really you have to include what you changed, otherwise you're in breach of the license. So that's a part. To prevent this, we have made it clear that any patent must be licensed for everyone's free use or not licensed at all. So if you don't like to have that license, or you don't like to have that software, either don't distribute it at all, or abide by these laws or rules. Now we come into the specifics. So number 2, you may modify your copy or copies of the program or any portions of it, thus forming a workspace on the program. So if you touch this operating system, this OS, and copy and distribute such modifications or work under the terms in section 1 above, provided that you also meet all these conditions. Number 8, you must cause the modified files to carry prominent notice stating that you changed the files and the date of the change. That's important. If you touch any files within this OS, please date it. You must make sure it's dated, and you must ensure that this file has actually been modified. That's a very important part of the license. You must cause any work that you distribute or publish that is in whole or part of contains or derived from the program or any part thereof to be licensed or whole of no charge at all to all third parties under the terms of this license. So what you mean is by that is you can't charge money if you modify these things. We're not going to focus on much. Number 3, you may copy or distribute the program or work based on it under section 2 in object code or executable for under the terms in section 1 and 2 above, provided that you also do one of the following. So that's a must. This is really important. You have to do one of these things. A, accompany it with the complete corresponding machine readable source code. What that means is machine readable source code is very clear. So if you write it in C language, that C compiler must understand that C language. It doesn't matter if it's human or not human, but this basically means machine readable source code. Whatever source code you're writing in, it has to be understood by the machine in order for it to be compiled or recompiled, which must be distributed under the terms of section 1 and 2 above in a medium customarily used for software interchangeable. So you can see Korg included this on the CD, and we'll come to that in a minute. Accordingly, accompany it with written offer, valid for. If you can't do A, if you can't really submit your software with all the changes that you did in the files, then option B is you have to accompany it in a written offer valid for 3 years to give any third party for a charge or no more than your cost of physically performing source distribution. So you know what that means is if you can't do it now, do it in 3 years, but you have to do it. A complete machine readable copy of the corresponding source code to be distributed under the terms of section 1 and 2 above, medium customarily used by the software interchangeable. So this is a crucial part. So if you can't do it now, do it in 3 years, right? Given the fact that Korg owners have owned their instruments for over 10 years, then that should be valid, and it's not at the moment. Accompany it with the information you received to the offer or to distribute the corresponding source code. This alternative is allowed only for non-commercial distribution, only if you received the program in object code or executable in form which set in an offer in accordance with the subsequent subsection MB above. So in other words, there's no really exit from this. If you change the operating system code, you must include the source code of whatever you change and date it and time it, etc., to make sure that people understand what changes you did. The source code for a work means the preferred forms. Form of work for making modifications on it for executable work. Complete source code means all the source code, and this is important, all the source code, all the modules that contains, plus any associated interface section files, plus the script used to control compilation and installation of the executable. So not only the source code, anything you do to make that source code compile into a working thing, like a physical script, bash file, whatever it is, you have to include it. It's there. You must not copy, modify, sublicense, or distribute the program except as explicitly provided under this license, and that's clear. Any attempt otherwise to copy, modify, sublicense, or distribute the program is void and will automatically terminate your rights under this license. However, parties who have received copies or rights under the license will not have their license terminated so long as their parties remain in full compliance. So if you're in breach of the law, if you're in breach of the license, if you did something to modify or to do and you submit it, then you're no longer you are in breach of the license. But if for people you already sold it to or gave it to, they're not in breach unless they do the same thing. You are not required to accept this license. So yeah, I mean that arguably is could be correct. We don't know what Korg signed with Linus or the Open Software Foundation, but we'll come to that in a minute. Since you have not signed it, so as I said, we don't know yet. However, and that's the important part, the answer to the point. Nothing else grants you permission to modify or distribute the program or its derivative works. These restrictions, these actions are prohibited by law if you do not accept this license. Therefore, by modifying or distributing the program or any work based on the program, you indicate your acceptance to this license to do so. And all of the terms and conditions for copying, distributing, modifying the baseline. So what you're saying here is, because you are distributing it here, and because you have made, if you made any changes to it, then you, without you having to sign anything, you already agreed to the terms and conditions. Now skip to the last bit. If you develop a new program and you want it to be part of your greatest possible use of for the public, the best way is to achieve this is to make it free software for which everyone can redistribute and change under these terms. Now, I'm sorry, it's been a little boring to read this out for you. I understand it's been about almost 10-12 minutes. I apologize, because it is a crucial part of the element, and legally I have to do this to ensure what I'm about to say, to cover what I'm about to say now. Now, if you watch my previous videos, all my previous videos, I have never taken any code or any files and then reverse engineer them and posted them online and do stuff for the sake of it. If I reverse engineer something, it's a hobby. It's for the fun of it. And I'm 100% protective of other people's work, and I have full respect whoever did whatever they did. And as a result, I don't like to, to hurt them by sharing their code or reverse engineering their code and share it online. However, with this, what I just said about the licensing and stuff, and going back to my previous video, the sound didn't work. You can see, and I'll go, if you watch my previous video on the Kronos Hack 7, I took it out the instrument, I moved it to another OS, or my own OS, but the problem is the sound was not really right, and I wasn't sure why. But thanks to a person, one of the nice, good membership community called Andre, he pointed out that this actually has been talked about before and has been crippled by Korg to ensure that you don't do this, or you don't really take their files out of the original operating system that we have just read the files from. And the problem, when I looked into this further, I started digging. It took me about a couple of days, but I managed to find where the issue is. And when I looked carefully at this, it really made me angry to actually see what they did. Why? Because literally the code that was shipped by the system is pretty much talking to the operating system, but the operating system functions has been modified in a way to make sure that you don't really take things out of the original crippled OS or recompiled OS on Korg. So let's take it to what I'm talking about in here. If you see my screen, I'm sure hope you can see it. There are 4 parts in it. Okay, part 1, which I'm going to talk about here, is register CD-ROM function. Now let me just go back into this bit slightly. So this is the file we just read the license for, and if I look inside, there should be a drivers, CD-ROM, and then cd-rom.c, right? Open with text editor. Okay, so now you are looking at the original source code as came out of the package or the zip file that shipped by Korg to you, with with the changes, hopefully, to disclose what's happening. Now, if I do a Control F to search some stuff, and if I type in Korg, nothing. And if I type in modifications is going to be there, but it's not by Korg. So this is pretty much the stuff that you're looking at. What I'm looking at in particular is register CD-ROM function. Now that function is included, or is it's part of the operating system. This comes with Linux. This is provided by Linux, right? If you make any changes to it, it should be here, right? You can't make changes and distribute the thing without having this thing there. Why did I read the license? Now I'm going to go back to what I have actually taken out. This here is the part that has that I just shown you that on the file. So this comes from the original file system. This here is the structures, also comes from the operating system CD. If you are curious to find out where exactly this lives, this will live on the Linux, include Linux cd-rom.h. Yeah, so now what's left is these two screens in here. So what I have done is I have gone into the compiled file. This is Red Hat Enterprise Linux. This is what I have compiled from that source code that I just shown you. And the result is a system which got machine code and has been reverse engineered just to find out exactly what's happening to it. So it does some stuff, so here it'll do things like if the CDI is blank, then exit, bugger off, and return is no value, that sort of thing. All that is fine, but when I do the same for the shipped with Korg or the instrument files or what Korg has compiled on the system, I find something else different than the original functions that was compiled by the original OS. So in here you have the function does some stuff, and then there are reference to other functionalities like things like sense word and sense byte and stuff, or sense digit. There we go. Yeah, and these when I looked inside the original OS, these are not there. There's no function called sense digit or sense word inside the original OS file, and I thought, what's going on? This is not clearly this is not the stuff. Shouldn't really be the case. So I had a look deeper into this, and anyway, just going to explain the logic now for it. So the beginning side of it looks pretty much the same. So and by the way, I've not done this before. This is pretty much the first time I'm actually just talking about a fully reverse engineered file. But again, this is not Korg proprietary. This is what Korg breached the license and added their own stuff to ensure that when you move this stuff to a different system, it will be crippled and not work anymore. And by law, or by the license that was distributed on everyone's CD, that is a breach of the GNU license, and this is the breach itself. So what's happening in here? The first part compiles the same, okay? And I'm just going to take you through stuff in here. So what happens in here? So it will call, yeah, that's fine. It will call this sense digit to do some calculations, and I'll come to that in a minute. And then if these calculations result in this file saying 7586, that code is, if we detect this code somehow after this sense digit calculates and we end up giving you that, then it will jump into this this function, Korg response. And with that here, the Korg response function is there, and it will have this input, which is some value, and it will call sense word, which I will come to that in a minute, and it will add some salt and pepper, and will do some. It will store it in this AX48. I'll talk about that in a minute. And it will give you a specific error code that does not exist on the original CD, original function. And that error code, if I just look for that here, and if I, yes, this is a, yeah, so that error does not exist on the original compilation. So that error code is a special error code that they are looking for it in the OA .ko file. And then once that is generated, it will jump to the exit, which is here, there. So that's basically pretty much, restoring the values, unclubbering them. They're restoring the values back, and then changing the stack, and then jumping back to the caller to say yes. Here we go. If this sense word thing, where is it gone? So if we go back into here, so as someone called the function here, if the structure has something, then it will continue. If not, it will print something and come back. That sense digit will read from AX plus 10. Now, I said I'm going to talk about it in a minute. I'm going to talk about it now. So AX plus 10 in here, when I looked into the structure, this is the structure in here. If you do some calculations and then some, if you are advanced and know exactly what you're doing, this lands at handle because you've got 4, 8, C, and then 10. So 10 is the address on the CD-ROM device info, which is the CDI from here, there. That's the structure here, and that's the CDI. It lands at offset number 10. So they are reading offset number 10, the handle part, to see what the handle contains, and then applying some calculations on the handle part. And we're going to talk about that now. So sense digit, if I go back into here and take you to it, sense digit is this is the function. I actually taken it down, and you can see it's just nothing but calculations. Add one, take one, shift left, shift right, blah blah blah. It'll just do some chewing gum with the code, and the end result must come back as 7586. And once that's done here, it will compare it. Is it this? Then yes. If it's not, then proceed with the other stuff and then carry on with the rest of the original CD function. But if it's yes, then go into this bit, and then if it's a yes, sense digits, and goes into the Korg response with Korg. Then it does another function to sense word, which does exactly the same thing here. Sorry, not this one. Sense word. Let's just take that down. Sense word. There we go. So sense word is here, and it will actually do that, saying exactly the same. There's no logic, there's no ifs and jumps and calls and stuff. It's just taking stuff and then doing some, manipulation to the thing to come up with something, which is, it's a bit dumb, really. I mean, why are you doing these calculations when you can just say here, if it is that, comparing it with the original source? I mean, I can just, without saying, what Neiman said, what they're saying is, someone send a value of 1, and they have a function that says add 1, add 1, add 1, add 1, add 1, and then if it's 5, then do this. Then, I mean, what? Just compare it initially. If it's 1, then do that. Simple. Yeah. But anyway, so the call sense word has been added to the CD-ROM function to calculate some junk which not required, and only to see if the output value is this, right? Which is pointless because you can see here the AX, they're feeding the function this value to generate this value, which is going to be compared later. So that whole block is completely irrelevant and redundant. It's not required. You don't need that because it's just the source is there, the 3AD6 whatever that is. So 3ADD6860. That's provided to the sense word function, does some crap, and then come back with 405 and so if that's the case, then do this stuff, right? Anyway, so that whole thing comes back, and then jump to the exit, and in the exit, it goes back into the caller, and this is the thing here. If you don't do that stuff, the quality, what happens is they are being compared against some stuff to cripple the audio over. So the cripple and the audio will, they are making some changes based on the output of this one. And in particular, they are doing this stuff on the SXCMD SCMD, SXCMD, and I've just written down on my blackboard, and I'll have to come to that in a second. But you can see this is a breach to the GNU license. Just to clarify, in case you missed it, or in case I might not have been clear onto why this is a breach, it's not about Korg changing the files on the CD. It is about they've changed the file on the functions of the original operating system without including the source code of the change. That is a breach. So the license clearly says if you're going to distribute a change to the operating system, then you must document your change, date them and time them, and ensure that everybody else can have the same thing so that they can compile whenever they want. And that is clearly a breach of the terms and conditions of the GNU license. So this is just to be in black and white, clear 100%. And hopefully that makes more sense now. And I explained fully why is it a breach. So I will take it to the logic now in a minute, and I'll start talking about that on the blackboard, and you can see exactly what's happening and the logic behind it. So if anyone wants to kind of rebuild their OS, I'm not talking about Korg files in here, this is the operating system register CD-ROM function. If anyone wants to do stuff and they want that function to be reverse engineered and recompiled, or they wanted to add their own stuff, all they have to do is compare. Let me just use my iPhone here to record this. Right, okay, so now we are on to the second part. So inside you are getting called register CD-ROM. This is the function, and it's been fed this value of A0F3. If the system detects an A0F3, does exactly what I just said, and it will call the sense word, blah, 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 do some stuff, adding some salt and pepper and all the rest of it, and it will come back and it will return with a value, which will be later on subtracted from this and will be stored into these two variables, so SXCMD and CD-ROM command. And that, what these will store is a pointer to a function with some value, and if this value is not a certain value, then it will cripple down the instrument. Now I go back to the source code again, and then let me stop the iPhone. And on the source code, if I look into the where am I? Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Okay, and if I look inside drivers, CD-ROM, cd-rom.c, there we go. Okay, so now here is the files in question. So you need to add the following structure, and I'm going to talk about that now because that is a operating system source file, and when you modify it, you must include what time and date you modified it, and you must distribute these things when you change, and that's not been done, so I'm actually doing it for you. And that's anyway. So now here, constant, you need to add this file, and you need to have these bytes in there. And I'm just going to make it bigger so you can actually see what these things are. So I've actually included those here, and the rest of the code will be here. So inside the register CD-ROM function, right, the solution is to do the following. If you wanted to understand how this whole thing works, if the CDI contains something, and if it's actually asking for 0A03, 0A03, then the data will be this. Okay, so it'll be actually what it is. It'll be a pointer to the one you saw above, and this is that, right? And it will add that reference to it, and this will print something on the Korg, which you're about to see now, and we'll return an error code of FD6, which basically means minus, I think, 24, if I remember correctly. So that, yeah. So anyway, that means here is the modification to the register CD-ROM function in Heider for you to actually power up the instrument. So I'm gonna stop this now and take you to the instrument now and show you exactly that this whole thing is actually powering up. So I'm gonna power up the instrument now. Okay, so now the change, I labeled it A0F3 fix as per my video. Don't know if you guys can see it, but here it is. And this is what the code is received. So I'm just going to power that up now and then take it from there. Yep. Okay. Yeah, got it. So we're in. Okay. Now, if I were to so this is the startup that I have in here to start the, hold on 1 second, let me just start this up now. And you can see now this is my own OS starting up. Sorry. Let's take this out. Good, okay. And I'll explain here. So now you can see the thing is loading. The thing is loading in here. And that's my own OS. Yeah, there we go. So what I want you to see is this little line here. Register CD-ROM, Korg request A0F3, returning that, pointer address is this. And that's literally what the OS function does. And again, I'm not doing anything on the Korg preparatory files, you know, looking for that stuff, but I'm actually talking about the OS itself only. So now this thing is loading. So whilst this is loading, let's just keep talking about some stuff. Okay, the way they've done, or the way Korg has done the register CD-ROM or register for the CD function, or modified it, I wouldn't call unprofessional, but it's actually childish. You know, included so many instructions to do stuff, and you can just little compare. You don't need to do any of that, you know, shebang of, you know, manipulating the EAX and then coming back with something else. It's pointless. It's just not needed, and no one's actually using it. And introducing two more functions to the register CD-ROM function that is, you know, comes up with the product. Sorry, with the Linux open source operating system, without having a, you know, without disclosing the stuff that you meant to disclose, or documenting it properly and then including it there, is a breach to the license. And my video today is to kind of talk about that, and I really wanted to show you that now. So that's the solution to the previous problem indicated. I mean, it took me a couple of days to actually figure it out. But there. So now the previous sound Look at now, it's sounding nicely. It's working. If I go to combi mode, and you'll see it's properly. Sound is working fine. But because I'm logging, see that? It's trying to catch up. See now it's out of sync. It can't catch up. Interesting. Yeah, anyway, so let's stop this. Yeah, now you get the idea. I don't know what to say. It's just all I have to say is why. Why exactly have you done it this way? Honestly, I mean, I was 13, 14 years old, and I was doing anti-debugger tricks in my life. This was in the 80s, or even, I can't remember. I mean, just leave the OS alone. Why are you screwing up the OS in here and not including the source code for it? That's just a breach of license. Is the other systems, does the other system do the same? I don't know or really care, but I just can't. A little upset really about this. All this time I've been working to protect the Korg and the source and all that kind of stuff and not sharing it with anyone. And I discovered they've done this on the original OS in a way. I don't know what to say. In such a bad way, let's just say. It's just childish, really is. Really, really is. Anyway, I'm not going to brag about this stuff, but anyway, you can see now we got the instrument working on another operating system, fully working, absolutely fine. If I remove those things, it will work even better. So yeah, I hope. I don't know if you make up of this video. Probably will. Some will like, others will hate, and I'm pretty sure if you see me running on the road and Korg chasing me up, just have a nice day. I'll see you later.